ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं अवामहे कं कवीनाम् उपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत शृण्वन्नोतिभिस्सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेवाजिनीवती धीनामवित्रेवतु महासरस्वत्यै नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। गुरुवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। देवीं वाचमजनयन्त देवाः तां विश्वरूपा पशवो वदन्ति सा नो मन्द्रेषु मूर्जन्धुहाना धेनुर्वागस्मानुपतिष्ठतैतु व्यासं प्रतिष्ठनत्तारं शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। शिवशक्तिसमारम्भां भास्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मत्श्रीनाथपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रीलतामहात्रिपुरसुन्दरी समेत श्रीचन्द्रमौळीश्वराय नमः। श्रीकाञ्चीकामकोटिपीठाधिपति जगद्गुरु श्रीशङ्कराचार्य श्रीचरणयोः प्रणामाः। So, before we start, we are going to do third Mundaka, first Khanda, and second mantra. We finished the first mantra last time. We are going to do the second mantra this time. But I want to dwell a couple of minutes on the discussion that went on last time. And no, I hope you remember the conversation to a certain extent. Unfortunately, Bhuwana is not there, Bhuwana and Ram. Otherwise, they will also participate. I want to set some basic context here. Understand one thing, that all of you are investing good amount of time in trying to learn a few things, right? Mundaka Upanishad is not the only thing you are learning. I'm sure you will be learning other things and practicing other things that you have learned, and all of you are working. So there are constraints and challenges. Other than work, there may be household responsibilities. Then the question is, when are we going to learn all these things? When are we going to perfect all these things? When are we going to understand? And when are we going to get moksha? There are two ways of leading a life. And this is again, everything that you hear from me is my own. I don't read from some script or this thing. I wouldn't hesitate to say it on record. I know we are live on YouTube. Yeah, I've been counseling for 45 plus years. Welcome, Padmaji. I've been counseling for 45 plus years. So you can imagine the number of people that I would have met, talked to, guided, or faced the situation that they are in. And when you are a counselor or a therapist or whatever you are, or an interventionist, you don't just give advice like a consultant. I'm charging you by the hour, and I'm just going to throw a few words at you like a consultant, and it's your problem. There are many people who do that, including lawyers. But there are people in every community, in every profession, that takes it a little bit more seriously and get involved. When you get involved, you sort of share those experiences too. If somebody is going through a very rough day or emotion, you have to be empathetic towards it. You don't sympathize with them. That's the most dangerous thing to do. You don't sit and sympathize. Oh man, you lost your mother today, so sad, and now you should give up everything in life. And that's not how it works. You empathize so that you are sensitive to their needs, so you understand the pain, which will put you in a better position to guide people properly. That's number one. So, as much as I've been exposed to all these Vedams and various other things in my life, quite a few of which I've learned formally, I'm also exposed to the scientific aspect of it. The one aspect that I keep referring to as Pancha, five senses, experience based life that the Western world lives. If you really get into the Abrahamic religion philosophy, there is no karma for them, there is no rebirth for them, right? They all die, and that is why they say rest in peace means you rest there until the judgment day arrives. We don't even, most of the people that claim staunch Hindus don't even know what it means. So as soon as we hear on WhatsApp somebody passed away, oh, rest in peace. I said, why are you cursing the soul? Right? So all I'm saying is nothing comes in life without effort. If you don't reconcile to that, then there is nobody else to blame. There is no Shivan or Parvati, God has been very unkind to me and very kind to my neighbor. All of these things you have to cross that stage. I'm sure you would have already crossed, and take responsibility upon yourself. First step. If you want moksha, you want moksha. Are you doing moksha for your husband or daughter or son? No. So you got to be very realistic and practical. Why are you focused? Because the science in faith is simple. Nobody else can get it for you, right? So you have to work hard and get it yourself. So when you know it, don't let your mind get distracted. Oh, if I'm spending 1 hour here, I have not cooked proper food, my child is starving. You are learning this precisely to understand that. So while you're in this process of learning, if you're aggravating the already aggravated situation, it will not get you clarity. Anybody who has taken any kind of counseling sessions from me will really get bored to death when I say this, because this is the very simple diagram that I use in talking to people. I don't know how many of you understand Venn diagram. You all understand Venn diagram, right? Padmaja? Set theory. You would have learned it in school. No? So you can unmute it. I don't think anybody else is there, so you can unmute yourself. Set theory is all about circles. It's a set, right? So when two sets intersect, you see a sort of a concave oval shaped structure forming at the intersection point. When three circles intersect, there will be more. There will be three intersection points, so sets. It is called set theory, and those diagrams are called Venn diagrams. So you have to imagine God sent you with your own diagram, with a very clean circle. But you intersect with your spouse. So you take the circle of your spouse that intersects. That intersection is joint karma. Otherwise, that circle, big circle, is your karma. Nobody has got right. Nobody has got influence. Nobody has got accountability and responsibility. As much as we make a big ruckus out of this whole family responsibility, and everything is running on me, and without which everything will come to a standstill, I can prove with so many cases. If you want clinical evidence, clinical. You want scientific. You want psychological things, I can bring it. It's all here. I've told people who believe that if I step out of the house one day, then the whole house will crumble. I said, please go on a vacation for 1 week and check. When you say such things that the house will crumble, you are actually challenging the basics of a human life. We are survivors. If you go back to the child, Anu and I were talking about how a small child in a house can keep everybody busy. You just observe that child. If you have forgotten how the child behaves, right from starting to drink milk from the mother's breast, slowly transitioning out of it into solid foods, into being fed, to saying, I will take my own food and eat it, crawling, everything is survival mode. Can you tell me which training course that the child goes where it acquires so many skills? Nowhere. Even if it doesn't have a vocabulary or a language expertise, it knows how to cry and catch attention. There are so many things that are at play. So, all I would say is, without boring you to death, go back to the basics. Every time you get confused, go back to the basics. And the more you cut out these cobwebs that you built around yourself, the easier you will find a path. Easier you will find a path. There are many times I've seen when somebody is admitted to the hospital, everybody is there around in the ICU. It's a very typical Indian culture. I mean, it's a good thing. It's not bad. I'm not speaking bad of anybody. Somebody is serious, you'll see 30, 40 people outside in the ICU. When you do that, you have to think, by showing up in such large numbers, are you really solving a problem? Are you making that person get cured easily, faster? Are you helping them financially, economically, or any other form? If not, don't go. Both the family and the people who are visiting, to show support of solidarity, should come to that level of understanding and saying, we must do what is right, what is good for the family. Just by showing up, maybe you're putting the family itself under pressure. They can't tell you, please go home. Instead of paying attention to the patient or the family member who's sick, they will be entertaining you. Otherwise, you'll get angry. I came all the way for you. You didn't even bother to look at me. So these are the simple things. When you say sannyasam, right? These are the simple things that you categorize under sannyasam. Sannyasam is not saffron robe straight away. These transformations, simple transformations, which is entirely under your control. You don't have to take your husband's permission, children's permission, relatives' permission. Change the mindset, change the perception, because in the process of growing up and leading a life, you have acquired so many things on the fly. You don't even know how many things you're lugging. I've used in my counseling sessions a lot of practical demonstrations. People may suddenly laugh, why are you trying to do this? And I'm 50 years old, and do you think I don't even know this? Sometimes when you demonstrate, they will say, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I'll give you one simple example and then I'll move on. The question oftentimes I've seen in those sessions is, it is so painful, I don't know why it is happening to me. That kind of a question. The context could be different, but the ultimate question is that. As if there is some external force, God, that has decided to be very nasty with you and putting you through the pain. I tell that person, go 5 steps back and you start marching towards me. And I put my hand like this, right? This level. I just put my hand like this. And I said, don't object or question, just listen to the instruction and follow it. The person will come forward. And obviously, I'm blocking. But I'll say, don't stop. Keep going what you're doing. And by nature, you're trained. I have to prove that I can go forward. I'm not being stopped. I'm not going to be stopped. And they will start in a very simplistic way, and then they will go very aggressive, trying to push me back. And since I know what that exercise is, I won't budge even an inch. And all of a sudden, they will feel a lot of pain here. Tremendous amount of pain. Oh, it's very painful. I said, I recognize that. I'm not feeling the pain because my hand is like this. You are feeling the pain. I said, just repeat the same exercise again. Now that you have a knowledge, you followed the instruction and you tried to do what you were doing, and you know the end result, try it second time. Second time again, they will repeat the same thing. But then I will instruct them, try to take a step backward. And as they take a step backward, I go with my hand forward. I'm doing the same pressure, I'm doing the same blocking. And I said, are you feeling the same pain? Oh no. I said, simple moral of the story. You can keep blaming that hand that is blocking you as the cause for the pain. Little realizing that you have the control, you are the one pushing forward against that resistance. Taking a step back or taking a step aside can alleviate that pain. But you never are able to think and act like that, because you're in that cobweb of so many things. Does it mean I'm a failure? Does it mean I'm defeated? Does it mean that that other person will get very aggressive? So many things are cooked up in our head that even the most basic things we don't do. which as a child we are smart to learn. You try to push the child will, you see what the child does. It's a very interesting thing to learn. So it's not like we don't have that skill or we didn't learn. Just over a period of time, the thinking has become so clouded, wrapped, and you start unwinding those knots. Many things will be clear. So why I'm saying it is, even here, the whole essence of Mundaka Upanishad itself is to teach you the basics of life. It's in a very gradual way. We have completed 66%. The language is not complicated at all. It might get a little more complex and technical now in the third Mundaka because that is what is intended to be. Correct? So,
You think Kumarji, like it is easy to leave and like to get away from this,
from what?
like in the middle of the family now. Let me say, like with the responsibilities and all.
Did I say that you have to leave the family and go?
Not the responsibilities. I mean to say, like
No, what first of all you have to define what is a responsibility. I'm 60 years old. If my mom were alive today, trust me, I'm a counselor to so many people. I've been a management consultant all my life. I'm teaching all of you what to do and what not to do in life. But if I see my mother alive, I will still expect that mom to feed me in my mouth. Prepare nice food, feed me in my mouth. My thought process will not be that she's 25 years older to me, or you can't change that. But is that sustainable?
is that her responsibility? Is what
I'm coming to that a little next step.
okay.
First is that sustainable?
I don't know. In the morning itself, my mother, okay, I will make you a coffee. She brings to me.
I will share one more thing with you. I mean, some of the personal things I'm sharing just for the sake of clarity here. I've observed many different types of people. People who wouldn't let their children go away from home for even studies. Right? In the contrary, my chitti, my father's younger brother's wife, we all used to come to one place in vacation. We will go to their place, right? All relatives and cousins. We grow up and we played together. We will all sleep on the floor, like the good old days. Everybody sleeping on jamakalam with all small one room kitchen kind of a pagadi.
Yeah.
She wakes up at 5:30 or 6. The milk wala will come. She'll receive the milk, and by 6 or 6:30, she will prepare tea. Listen to me very carefully. She's one of the most loving and caring person that lived. She will not forget about anybody. She will always be in the kitchen. But there are certain lessons of life that she taught to everybody, regardless of where you come from, regardless of how your mom and dad has been treating you. You have come to my house. This is the rule. 6:30, you are expected to be up. That's the outer limit. Brushed and ready, fresh. She will never sit and lecture. Why are you not doing it? I told you how many times. I've never seen her get into this kind of a debate at all. She had a very simple rule. At 6 a.m., the tea will be very fresh, mast adrak masala chai, very hot, and it will be kept on top of the pillow. And she'll continue with her work. You get up at 6:30, you'll get a very hot tea, fantastic tea. You get up at 7, slightly colder. You get up at 8, very cold. You get up at 10 a.m. I don't think you'll be very happy to drink the tea. She will not prepare a fresh one or reheat or do anything. Very simple way of learning. Do you think all of us suffered and abused her? All it was required is for all of us to align. We are in her house. This is the rule of the game. There is a reason why she's doing it. You better get up. And some people who are smart, they'll get up, drink the tea, and go back to sleep. And she's fine with that. She's fine with that. But she says, If 20 of you or 15 of you are going to be there, and if I have to prepare tea for every one of you as and when you wake up, I will never be able to finish my task. So, point I'm saying is the responsibility word that you're using is all self created. In humans, relationships, understanding matters a lot. I can use a particular word today, and you can say, yeah, he has used it in good faith. I know this guy, he doesn't mean any offense to anybody, and you will take it in the right spirit. The same person, the same relationship on a different day, you can come up and say, oh, he was so rude to me. It's all here. So that is why that focus is, how do you condition your mind? Understand what is mind, understand what is experience, understand where you are trapped. That is the whole purpose. So when you say responsibility, how will you come out of that responsibility to understand whether it is your responsibility or not? You have to spend time to learn. Nobody, God has said, because you produce children and because you are a female or because you are ABC, your life is done. Your job is only to cook, and if you don't cook, you're a bad karma. This is all self appointed, self learned knowledge that has got no base. Read the Upanishads, read the scriptures, it tells you how to live your life, which is why you have to allocate that time, have the faith, go to the extent of understanding it, and start putting it to practice. You can't say, yeah, I know all that guna, shakti, etc., chakras. I don't have time to implement it. Theoretically, ask me any question, I'll answer the question. What is the point? I keep telling people nowadays, in even my professional conversation, people are going to think that I'm going crazy. I'm saying, if you don't do nyasam, at least do three nyasams, one, two, and three, right? These three. Start putting some connection to that mind and body. Take a break, do some pranayamams. You can't be thinking of morning to night, oh, I'm doing a great job, I'm fulfilling my responsibility. Maybe spend some time with your kids. They will say, we never asked you to do it. They will say, we want you to take rest. You've done enough. So, what is the truth? Correct? So, that is why these kind of Upanishads is important to learn.
I think you answered some very important questions I had.
No, I will. I've set the stage. I've started with this for a reason. So we will quickly go into the mantra, go into the meaning, and then continue this conversation. You'll see the beauty of it. But if you keep saying that, I can never get moksha, it's all a waste of time. It's okay. I'm a little smarter than what I was before, or more informed. It is not going to help anybody, because, as I said in the beginning, each one of you, your responsibility is to yourself. And respect the life cycle of your kids. If you remember how many times I've said, if you believe that you have produced that human being, so it is your responsibility, that's the farthest from truth that you can be. You are only a FedEx delivery person. You didn't create it. You didn't decide when that will come to life. You have no power when it will end. You have no power whether that prani will be happy or miserable or rich or poor. Tell me one thing that you have in control. Why is it difficult to learn that? Your responsibility to make sure that they've got food, clothing, and shelter, which is a basic which we discussed in the Maslow's theory, until they can take care of themselves. But every step, if you see animals, birds, you will see that the mother and father will try to teach them how to fly, how to walk, how to run. Have you ever seen a tiger or a cow putting her legs behind all the calves and saying, okay, you can't go anywhere, you will be with me? Never. It's only us humans. We think superhumans of ourselves. I will decide your life. I'll decide which college you will go to. I'll decide what shirt and pant you will wear. We make life miserable for ourselves. So if you learn and implement some of these things, these are real essence of the life, the truth. And you believe it, you start implementing it, you will see the difference. You'll see the difference. And look at it from a perspective that, The children are also supposed to acquire certain skills for their survival. You are not going to be there forever for them. So, what is the best way? Even if you take IT language, the go lives are all very well structured, right? The consultants will be responsible till the go live. Don't you put a transition plan? Post go live support. First 1 month we will do it. Second month we will shadow you. Third month you will be there, and all those things. Don't you put all that? So apply some of those concepts in your day-to-day life. You see what the difference is. So some of the things that I've said in my classes also. All the time, knowledge is not power. Sometimes it is better to be not aware of certain things. That is one. So don't go after asking for information. What happened to you? What did you eat? No, if that is a grown-up adult kid is hungry, the kid has got all the right to come and say, please prepare something for me. And you should keep it at that level. And that is what they are teaching. The detachment is very, very important. So thinking that that kid was produced by me, this phone was manufactured by me, it's all Maya. It's not difficult. Try to experiment with some simple task and get back to me. I'll be more than happy to take an offline conversation. I'm saying this to open to everybody. I mean, take that offer and try it. So let's come to mantra number 2. Samane vrikshe purusho nimagno nishaya shochati muhyamanah. Samane vrikshe purusho nimagno nishaya shochati muhyamanah. Jushtam yada pashyat yanyamishamasya. Pashyat yanyamishamasya mahimanamiti वीतशोकः. जुष्टं यदा पश्यत् यन्यमीशमस्य महिमानमिति वीतशोकः. So far so good?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go for the literal meaning word by word. Purusha is referring to the Purusha. That's easy to understand. Samane is also easy to understand. Right? What is Samane?
Equal.
Equal. Yeah. All of you can unmute it. So it's easy for you to just speak and interact because there's no echoing coming up. Vrikshe. What is Vriksha?
Tree.
Do you know where we talked about the tree?
The self body.
Correct. Previous mantra was all about 2 birds on a tree. You remember that, right? So Vriksha is on the tree. Nimagnaha. Some of you may not know Sanskrit, will probably find it difficult to understand. Being seated. To remember that, you can say Magnam. Magnam means in La La Land, you're in your own world. So you can say Nimagna, being seated. Anishaya. Nimagno Nishaya is getting split into Nimagnaha and Anishaya. Anishaya is for its helplessness. Remember in the previous mantra, we said the one bird felt that the other bird is enjoying everything, very happy, but this bird is very helpless, so sad and so helpless. You remember that, right? First mantra. So, being seated for its helplessness, muhyamanaha, being deluded. What is being deluded?
In a fancy word.
In a way, you are very close to that answer.
Delusion is, it's not real. You are
Correct.
imagining and
Correct.
reading story and getting.
Correct. So if I do all this abracadabra, etc., etc., and you fall for it, oh, okay, great. That means you're deluded. You're living in a false world that doesn't exist, right? So it's delusion. State of delusion is called being deluded. Shochati is grieves, grieving, grieves, grieves. Saha means he, yada means when. Yada yada hi dharmasya, you have heard of that, right? So yada is when. Anyam means the other. Justam is the worshipful. Isham is the Lord. Asya of it. Iti thus. Mahimanam means glory.
Pashyat, I didn't get this. Sorry. Uh,
Pashyati I have not come to yet.
Iti, where did you get Iti? I think I missed. Okay. I
Shochati. Shochati.
worshipful.
Shochati.
Pashyati, grieving.
Grieving. Mukhyamanaha is being deluded. Shochati is grieves. Jushtam is the worshipful.
Okay.
Yada is when.
And then,
Pashyati is beholds. So your iti is coming in mahimanam iti. Mahimanam plus iti. Correct? So iti is thus, mahimanam is glory. Got all the words connected? Yeah, that is the only word pending. But so far, all the words are explained. Vita shokaha, devoid of misery. Got it? So if you summarize this, it's very, very simple. The meaning is being seated on the same tree. There are two birds who are seated on the same tree, right? The Purusha, which is deluded, grieves over his helplessness. That one bird, Purusha, grieves over his helplessness because that Purusha is deluded. But when he beholds the other worshipful Lord, that means the other bird, his glory, the other bird or the other bird, which is the Lord, he becomes free from all grief. Again, first absorb the meaning. We had a lengthy discussion last time, so I'm repeating it again and again, and I'm going to repeat it for a few times. And again, a lot of these things, the people who are taking counseling from me would have heard it a million times. Process of learning starts from being a good listener or observer, because you use your senses to put the data input, correct? So first the data has to be input properly, whichever channel, ear or eyes or nose or tongue or whatever it is. You mess around that process, you bring down the efficiency of input. When the process is input, you think about output, your efficiency, you're bringing it down. You're not solving problems, you're creating problems right there. So first take it at face value. You're only creating an awareness of the topic. You're not developing an understanding and a implementation plan. You're only listening. Take it at face value. Then absorb it, retain it, memorize. Once you memorize, you have grasped whatever is given to you or thrown at you. Now you are in control. You can say, okay, now I will dissect, rewind, and replay the tape over and over again. Now each one of you can have a different speed of rewind and replay. Some may understand the meaning faster, Some may understand slower, some may need help, some may be self sufficient. So you don't have to look at the neighbor to do any benchmarking. You live your life your way. But go back and rewind and replay. These are the words thrown at me. I've taken it at face value. Now I have to get into the meaning. That's what we do, right? Word by word, we take the literal sense. Now, once you have the literal sense, this 3 line summary is going to give you a high level picture of what you're talking about. All the 3 steps are important. Fair enough? The learning is not complete yet. The learning here, you will have several questions in your mind, even within the context. Ask those questions one by one. Again, the process of learning starts when you receive answers. Go back to that mode. I'm in a listening mode. Don't start countering or judging in the name of I'm asking more intelligent questions. Don't start with an attitude of saying, oh no, you don't get what I'm saying. I can tell you, I don't know how many of you are teachers. I've been in this business for almost now 45 years. Or I can say more. It's not easy to sit on the teacher's side. You have to have some preparation, some capability, right? So if your attitude is no, he doesn't get it, what I'm saying, he doesn't understand my problems, he doesn't understand my challenges, etc., you are limiting your own learning. Come with an open mind. If you don't understand, it's okay. You can ask the same question 10 different times, 10 different ways until you understand the meaning, until you have that assurance that the person answering the question is clear about what you're asking. That's not a sin. And a good teacher will always respond. Nobody will say, I told you 5 times, what are you talking about? Correct? So use that process of getting questions answered, clarified. You have developed a better understanding. So far, what you have done is prepared yourself to get to the field. You're not ready yet. You're not ready to, you don't have a license to go to the road and drive. In some cases, a lab would help. Applying these concepts which you think you have learned theoretically, put it in a mini practical environment, closed door, controlled environment. You will know because that will be your first progress report. How much you have understood, what you have understood, what you have not understood, or what you were not taught. Many things will come to the fore. So there is a second phase of learning. Other than the questions for clarification, this is the second phase of learning. When you take that, then you can say, I've got a learner's license to go to the road. And I'm saying learner's license because it will take years for you to get a permanent license. And trust me, that phase of learning never ends till your last breath. If you have this attitude, you will learn at a much faster pace. Otherwise, you can keep spinning this wheel over and over again. So imagine if you're trying to find answers to the implementation issues which are 5 years down the line before you hear anything from somebody who's teaching you, you're doing grave injustice to yourself. Because you're going to be faced with the challenge only probably 5 years down the line. There is so much more to learn before that. At least acquire that. It will make that ability to face that challenge much easier, not difficult. So apply the same thing here also. Take all the components that are being given to you. And if required, we can do a revision session, again, compile everything that we've learned so far, summarize it in one class, put everything in the right context. Automatically, you will see the answers coming. Make sense? Yeah. So now, when we say deluded in our context, why are we using the word deluded? What is the key word because of which we say deluded?
Attachment, Maya.
Correct. Both are good words. As long as you have faith in that, you're not losing track. So go back to the same things. Can you develop that attitude of saying, I have not created anything, so I don't have to bask in glory? You start implementing that. It is not going to cost you anything. It is not going to keep your children starving or your husband starving or parents starving them. If your parents need a medical help, you will do that no matter what. You're not going to say that, no, I will not do that and I will practice Mundaka Upanishad. These are human survival instincts. But when nothing of that is there, start putting those learnings to effect. Look at that phone and say, I have nothing in this creation. It's temporary lease with me. It's going to be there as long as it works. The day it breaks, I'll throw it. I'll trade it. Start developing this mindset, and you see the difference it creates in you. Unless you experiment and put to use what you have learned, you can keep on asking, like, where is that moksha? I'm not able to meet that moksha. You'll never meet that moksha because it is internal to you. And don't be afraid of all those things that will happen before. I told you, you'll pass through forest, you'll see thousand lights, and don't get scared with all that. Oh, what if I turn blind? Which eye doctor can I go to? No, you won't need an eye doctor after that. These are the small things that I'm saying. I'm saying it in a very funny way, but when you ask, right, I still don't know. That don't know is because of these entrapment. Develop the courage, no? Many people tell me, if this happens, you will die. I said, okay. I don't have to worry about what happens after my death, right? So these are all unnecessary headache. What will happen if after I die? Whether my children will be still surviving or not? What is the guarantee that when you are alive that they will be enjoying the best of their life? There is no guarantee. So these are things that are simple things that you can let go. I would appreciate and focus on these things rather than just bragging about Mahapariva told me to leave drumstick, so I've left drumstick. Whether you eat drumstick or don't eat drumstick is not going to make a big difference. He asked you to do certain things in this direction, right? If he appeals to 1,000 people, I'm talking to 3 people. If he appeals to 1,000 people and he talks the way I am talking, people will stop coming to him. Oh, Mahapariva doesn't get what I'm saying. That we are capable of saying that. Outside, we will say walking God and Devatin Kural and all that stuff. But when it comes to reality, we'll say Mahapariva doesn't understand what my problems are. That is us human. Instead, you start implementing these simple things and then talk. Come back to the next class or the class after that and say, okay, you asked us to do this, we did this is the difference, or there's no difference. That's a good conversation. But I won't implement anything. I'm scared to touch anything. I expect some results. You show me proof, then I will go. You can't say that here is your realization certificate, but now walk the path of moksha. It does not work like that, right? And stop worrying about moksha. Moksha, it will come when it comes. Can you set down on that path and make progress? If there are 100 steps to do, finish whatever you can in the available time, 30, 40, 50. Now you're much closer. And sometimes the object gets clearer and clearer as you get closer. Correct? I'm talking in the physics sense. So here, deluded means because of our ignorance and false identification. When you keep saying, right, I've got responsibility, I've got problems, I've got challenges, I'm concerned, I'm worried, all of these aspects come because of that false identification of who you are, what are the people around you, and what is this, everything that you see around you.
No, I think to a great extent also, I think with many people what happens is even sometimes you want to break. I mean, this is something I've realized with others. Certain things I've been able to go forward because of certain things, but I've seen it happening. People are made to feel guilty about something and they are not able to get out of it. Even if they feel it's okay, the other people they get cloud down.
I'm so
We have to break through that.
No, I'm so happy you brought that up. Let me spend some time directly addressing that. I want to directly take it head on because it's one of the most common sentence that you see in any gathering or discussion that we get into, right? People make you feel guilty.
Yeah.
Correct?
No, I mean,
all of you agree with Anu or?
I've seen others been I'm out of it.
No, like just yesterday, right, I have a lot of commitments. When do you stay at home? That was the question someone asked me.
When do you?
Stay at home.
Stay at home. Because I am involved in many organizations, so I have something or the other thing. So that was the question.
Right. So if you are clear about purpose of your life, what is life, it will be very easy to deal with these kind of comments or questions. When you are not aware is when you face the challenge. Correct? You're walking to a destination or you're driving to a destination. Are you going to take such questions from commentators or passers-by? Hey, why are you driving on this side of the road? Why are you driving close to the footpath? Why are you driving at this speed? Are you going to take instructions from all these people? Do you know why?
Because we cannot see them.
It's not a question of not seeing them. It's
You
inbuilt
don't
in
go
this.
for it.
You don't need a special training, survival skills. If I listen to all those people and start driving, I will crash.
Go crash.
See, she's answering it straight away. Now, do the same thing. If you have a habit of taking inputs from everybody around you and saying, "Oh, you're driving fast, you're driving slow, you're driving this, you're driving that," you start averaging all that input. I have to take everybody seriously because they maybe I'm really driving fast, maybe I'm dangerous to others. These are all guilt feeling with some rational, some irrational, some irrelevant commentary. Correct? If you attempt to do that, I'm guaranteeing you will crash. You never do it because already there is a built-in safety net within you, survival mechanism. So why the difference in one area of life and why there is a different behavior in different area of life? The answer is very simple. You never realized the probability of crashing. Have you ever tried to drive on the wrong side of the road? No. You will never experiment. Even if somebody forces you, you see how they will change the steering back to the right side of the road. It's a fear of death. So answer is right there. If your destination or the end result is clear, you are very easy to make decisions on the journey or the direction. You're driving on the turnpike, freeway. You know you have to go one direction. Will you ever direct, let me make a U-turn and see and what happens? You don't need training. You don't need certification. You don't need to go to Harvard. These are all built-in training, package software. So apply the same thing here. Ask that simple question. Are you taking anything from away from that person, lady or man or anybody? At your age, whatever is the age of that person, whether it is a child or an adult, I don't know. Analyze the relationship. Are you hurting or harming that person by your actions? If not, just brush it away and move on. You don't even waste 1% energy in answering that or even thinking about it. That is maturity. Take the analogy that I gave about the car driving. So this is how you learn. Somebody can't sit and give you solutions for every situation like this. So understand the concept and it's easy for you to apply that. Sometimes you'll get beaten up because in the lab always you'll get beaten up sometimes and sometimes you'll be successful. To come back, discuss that where you got beaten up. Somebody will say, hey, you didn't apply the technique properly, so that's why you got beaten up. Next time you're smarter. It is not complex. Especially this guilt sense is very, very common in our society.
Yeah, it's actually the lowest vibration.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, Anu, I mean, you may know this, but still it will be worthy of giving this explanation.
Yes.
Develop an attitude. Whether I feel happy, I feel sorrow, I feel guilty is in my control.
Yes, I agree.
Very
Yeah,
simple rule.
it worked on me. I worked on it.
Yeah. If you tell me that, I'm a moron, am I supposed to take it seriously and feel bad and miserable about it? It's in my control. I can brush it off.
If somebody says it's like it's their problem, it's their opinion. I'm
It
not
shows
going to.
their exposure, right? Don't break your head because everybody is not a fool. You may think, oh, that person told me in front of everybody. In fact, that is a danger that the person who is talking rubbish should worry about, not you. You just laugh it off.
The fool of himself.
You just laugh it off. That person who has been irresponsible will face the heat. You just have to have a little bit of patience. If you have zero tolerance and say, no, 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 I want everything to be squared off now, then you're taking God's role. Don't try to become God. Life is very easy. Apply these principles, you'll see the difference. Okay. So he becomes free, etc. is when it comes to realize that the transcendental reality of its own self, that you are going to finally have a D-Day and you're going to merge, correct? The transcendental nature of own self is untouched by the passing experiences of life. So you don't take everything of your life far too seriously. So you'll understand why I brought up this topic in the beginning, because we have set the context to understand this mantra very well. So all this, another analogy that can be given, which is the meaning of this, is the sun is part of that, the Paramatma, correct? The sun's rays is touching various objects. Some get burnt. I don't know what is the correct word for vadi porade. Water means, jaded, or right? Jilted. So is it the fault of the sun? Is the sun getting tarnished there? No. Sun is sun. That's it. Sun cannot be tarnished by the effect or the actions at the other end. Are you getting what I'm saying? So similarly, you cannot uh, take the experiences which are dependent on those five senses far too seriously than what is required. And can I give one more mantra which, if you're serious about learning and implementing it, I have practiced these things, which is why it makes a lot of difference in my life. Don't give 200% mark to all your senses. You taste something, you feel, oh, it's very spicy, hot. You'll feel somebody else will say, no, I don't think it is spicy. So what you experience is not necessarily the absolute truth. Okay. So another example, very funny example I'll give so that you'll never forget. So you can see people sitting like this with coat and suit for Zoom calls, right? It's very common to assume, oh, that person is sitting with a proper formal dress coat suit. Most of the people here, they will have this, they'll be having a shorts underneath. So if you look at that and say, oh, see how tip top that person is always in a formal attire, he knows how to dress or she knows how to dress, blah, blah, blah. If you are very honest about it, that I will believe this to the extent I see that qualification is very important. It will bring in that humility in you. And you develop this habit, you will see all of a sudden your life changes. You'll be more welcome to people objecting to what you're saying or challenging what you're saying. You will say, I saw you doing this. The other person will say, no, maybe you misunderstood. You will say, yeah, probably. It'll be that easy. You'll get out of those argumentative fighting conversations very easily. If you overstress on your five senses, saying that what you see, what you hear, and what you have said is the ultimate truth, is when your life becomes very miserable. So I'm not saying this for just for a better life with the people around you. It's also for in your own path of making progress. Does it make sense? How many of you believe and implement that?
To a great extent, actually, I have changed, and some things, actually, some questions you answered today, I think, just clicked, because some things were coming in my mind, and when you were talking in the beginning, something just clicked. So I think.
So you remember, there is a conversation. If it is okay with you, there is one conversation that we have been having for a long time. I want people to understand that. I will not name who, but I want people to understand this. But they will come back and tell me, prove it to me, and it's so frustrating to make those people understand what our system is and why it is important to do this, that, etc., etc. It was worrying you.
Yeah.
This, yeah, you remember what I'm saying? I don't want to take
Yeah,
names.
yeah.
It's personal,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
But change that game. And I'm saying this in the, again in the Venn diagram concept. Please take it and implement it, and we'll see that in the
So
Venn diagram.
only about this part.
Yeah, in the Venn diagram, you are responsible. When you say accountability, no responsibility, Padmaji. This white space is what you are responsible. And you spend all your life in worrying about that intersection where there is a joint responsibility. Correct? Joint responsibility between you and your spouse, joint responsibility between you and your first child, second child, third child, whatever. And then there is one common centerpiece where everybody is responsible. So why keep beating like that Muharram? That guy will keep beating until you bleed.
Yeah.
This is not life. You be truthful to you. Have I been sincere to my people? Have I given any false excuses and starved them ever? No. Answer is no. Live your life. You don't need certificates. Have you ever seen one person, mother or woman, saying, "Oh, I will wait for the certificate every day to cook the next day"? It's the best example, like Dabawala example. This is another example. Whether you get abused for your cooking yesterday or in the morning or evening, you will continue to do the next day. It's not dependent on certificate. So there are many lessons you can learn from already things that you're doing. It's just that your perception changes in a different context. I've given you an example of you won't take risk on the wrong side of the road, right? You can't take everybody's input and drive. You have to just,
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I have learned quite a few things from this generation also.
yeah,
From children also, I've learned so many nice things from them.
yeah. I'm openly telling you, I'm watching my daughter parenting. We have learned a few things. There need not be an ego. Oh, we have brought you up, so we know everything. And what are you talking about? Keep it slightly flexible. I'm not saying be very liberal and let everything go to dogs. No, your mind is so powerful, right? You can nicely fine tune by the nanosecond. You can take this position now, and then the next nanosecond you can change the position and again adjust and recalibrate. It's beautiful. It's just that you have to be open enough to do that. But if you understand the ground rules, then you will be able to play this game well. If you don't even understand the ground rules, understand the Venn diagram that I'm talking about, you will be always lost. Why would you spend all your life in grieving about the intersection set without taking care of the white? Ask the reverse question. If you ever get a feeling of guilt, like what Padmaja said, that lady asked me this question. Aren't you responsible for the white of your set? Correct? God gave you that number of breaths to live in this janma. He didn't ask that lady, should I give her this much or less? Why was it given to you? Because you have the full freedom to spend it the way you want it. So it will never confuse you. And you don't even have to spend time in answering that lady or person who are male. How do you manage and what do you do? Just smile. Good question. 5 times you do it, the sixth time that headache will go away. It's very easy. Only when you get into that conversation of proving and arguing and winning, it becomes a little complex. So take the meaning of this. I'll go into a slightly elaborate meaning next time when we start, and you will see how what we discussed today makes a lot of sense. And that is what this mantra is all about. Okay, great, super. Any questions? Feel free to put it on WhatsApp. You don't have to wait for the next class, and we can take it forward. Was it helpful today?
Oh, yes, very good.
Good.
Excellent. I didn't know how 1 hour went.
Yeah.